Moni, I think we're ready. I think.
All right.
What's the first question, or who is the first questionnaire?
The first question comes from Ace Shamagi. I
Just
always butcher
Ace.
the name.
Ace is
I'm
fine.
sorry,
Ace
Ace.
the base, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they had an interesting. So they got a little confused on what Vol'jin is becoming now. So I'll read his question as it is,
Okay.
and then clarify for it
Okay.
because I still think it's a good question.
Yeah. All right.
With Vol'jin now becoming the king of the Loa, can he impact the story significantly for the mortal races and to uncover more hidden secrets that maybe the Loa have known but never were able to tell us until now?
Yeah.
With all of these leaks from the Titan constructs.
Mhm.
Now, the caveat is the correction here is Vol'jin is becoming the Loa of kings, not the king of all Loa. So
Yeah.
he's specifically, the Loa that represents royalty.
Yeah.
But I still think with Vol'jin, a mortal spirit, that's the first time we have seen somebody turn into a Loa, besides what we heard of Wansamdi, I still wanted to ask their question.
All right, so yeah, first things first, obviously, I'm not even sure if him becoming the Loa of Kings is canon. Is that canonical, or was that speculation on our part? Because we know that the original Loa of Kings died. That's been well established. I'm not sure if it was established. We know he's becoming a Loa, but I'm not sure if it's actually canonical. But it doesn't really matter either way, right? The thing is, so Vol'jin's death supplied us with a number of interesting, I guess, tidbits in terms of lore. First and foremost, it canonized the process by which Loa are created. This suggests that every single Loa at some point went through this. Now, in a perfect world, we would find out about all of these Loa that had once been created, like a car, for example. What kind of living being turns into a car? It has to be someone that's got, someone that's not quite right. Turns into a being like a car. But okay, so that canonized the whole process, and it's really cool to see. It also throws a lot of things out of whack, because we know that they have a place called the Other Side, which is their version of hell or heaven, depending on, I guess, how you want to view it, but it's their version of the afterlife. The issue, though, is that the creation of Loa takes place within Ardenweald and not within the Other Side, which is very curious. Because why? Is this a function that used to belong to the Other Side that was taken over by Ardenweald? Or is the Other Side and Ardenweald, has it always been one thing? Or is there an even bigger story around this? As for the mortal interference here, I'm almost hoping that Vol'jin eventually becomes the Loa of the Horde. So not the Loa of Kings, the Loa of the Horde. Because you bet your ass there's going to be information that Vol'jin now has access to that we have never known about, and that we would have no way of knowing about unless, of course, we spoke to an actual Loa that was willing to tell us the truth. There's another thing that bothers me a little, that I'm not entirely sure what to do with. Moni, perhaps you have an answer to this, but what? Vol'jin was the servant of Wansamdi. Wansamdi was the servant of Muazala. He claims to have been a priest. At least that's his lore as it stands now. He was a priest of Muazala, and then he died and he was turned into a Loa. He served Muazala for a really long time. But Wansamdi, since taking over from Muazala, Wansamdi is now the king of Loas. So, how does that work?
So, what happened? You're absolutely right. When Razan was killed,
Mm-hmm.
I believe Zul's betrayal was made
Yeah.
apparent.
Yeah.
Rastakhan made a deal with
One someday.
Wansamdi. He
Yes.
elevated him to the king of Loa and bound his bloodline with his daughter
Yeah.
Talanji, sorry, to that. So
Solange
yes,
broke
right
free of that,
now
didn't she?
I believe so, but
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
she freed herself of it.
100%. Because Wansamdi asked something of her that she could not do, which was
Yeah.
basically bring him Sylvanas' head.
Yeah.
And at this point, at that point in time, it was still up in the air as to whether Talanji was aware of what Sylvanas was doing, and if
Yeah.
she was even, you know, still part of the Horde or siding with the Horde.
See, but that was
But
also, I
yeah,
just want to say, that's another thing that they should have had in the game, because people who didn't read Before the Storm wouldn't understand that when somebody knew what Sylvanas was up to long before anyone else did, because he kept the souls of all of the Zandalari for himself, because he knew that all souls of the Zandalari was flowing into the Maw. That was another, just to quickly throw that in there. They should have had that.
It's another connection to him, being
Yeah.
Muazala's basically second in command. He
Yeah.
was given dominion over the souls of, well, the Zandalari trolls and any other trolls like the Darkspear tribe that worshipped him.
Yes.
So I think it is speculation on our part that Vol'jin is being set up to basically replace Razan. And the only reason that question is coming up is because it just seems thematic and appropriate and something that Blizzard would set up. Basically, Razan died, Vol'jin died in a very lackluster fashion. I mean, I don't care what you say. It was a letdown, even if it was in a cinematic battle on the Broken Isles. He was war chief for barely a week, more or less.
True. I mean,
so
it sort of solidified the musical chairs being, the main sort of tool that the Horde uses for their war chiefs. It's just musical chairs. Everyone dies.
So yeah, I would say right now, if Talanji did break free of Wansamdi, that currently there is no Loa of Kings, and that Vol'jin may come back as a prime example or a great contender for that slot, because he will likely manifest to Talanji and other Zandalari trolls and Darkspear trolls and offer his wisdom that he knows, combined with the new insight he gets as a Loa.
We could even see some interaction between him and Sylvanas. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
he is a
for
Loa.
That matter.
She is in the Maw. He could go to her. We could see a cinematic at some point where Vol'jin and Sylvanas speaks, and he's like, "What the fuck had you done?" So there is there is a lot there. But I would say for now, I don't think we're gonna see Vol'jin anytime soon. I think he's been sort of put on the back burner for a while Blizzard sorts out the sort of Dragonflight era of things. In saying that, there is a world in which Vol'jin can become useful literally towards the end of this expansion. Because him being a Loa would certainly be helpful in the fight against Galakrond. Because Galakrond, we already know, was influenced by Oxyron, and there's almost definitely some kind of connection to the Shadowlands. So there is a chance that we could see Vol'jin a lot sooner, I guess.
Not just Vol'jin, but Wansamdi, who's now taken up the complete portfolio of Loa of the Dead from Muazala. Even though
absolutely.
we defeated Muazala, we didn't destroy him. We helped Wansamdi chain him up in the other side.
Yeah, he's basically a prisoner right now. Probably serving as some kind of But this is where things are going to backfire again. Guys, there's so much story coming here. Because from the stories of Shadowlands, we have two major storylines that has not been finished yet. We have the Drust, that still is a story in and of itself. And then we have the story of the other side. It's a story that still hasn't been finished. Because Muazala is currently being locked up, most likely being used as some sort of battery power pack for one Sunday. But that doesn't mean that Muazala can't break free. And that's going to be... Oh, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's been talk of patches that's been skipped, Giant Rat Guy. And according to some of my sources, I told you guys at the beginning of Dragonflight that that's one of the patches that's rumored to be coming. But again, I've never been able to confirm any of that. So it might be that we get it now. It might be that Blizzard's going to put it on hold for longer. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. But anyways, thanks so much for the question. I really appreciate it. And I hope that we answered it at least to some extent. I really appreciate it.